Hello, hello. This is Travis from Coyote Moon. I am a Squarespace web designer who owns and operates Coyote Moon, a web design studio based in Bend, Oregon. I am a former Squarespace employee with 7.5 years of experience working directly for the company, directly with customers of all shapes and sizes. I would love to chat with you about your website project. If you have any questions, I'm always a resource. I can be reached at travis@coyotemooncreative.com. CoyoteMoonCreative.com is my portfolio. And if you are enjoying this video, please like and or subscribe to my channel where I will be presenting ongoing tips, resources, and really insider behind the hood knowledge on all things Squarespace. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. I am going to be chatting about button blocks. In Squarespace speak, button blocks are your calls to action. Join now, free trial, book a call, buy the XYZ product. So CTAs, or calls to action, are typically in the form of button blocks that are linking your site visitors to other internal pages on your website to take a specific action. You can set a button to link to an internal page, link to an external URL, link to a PDF, things of that nature. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the customizations, and those being the fonts, the weight, the size, the color, the border, the animations of the button block. So we are on the back end of a demo website, and we can see that we've added a couple of button blocks to the home page. So for example, a fitness studio might want to offer a couple different calls to action on their homepage. So, if you sort of have a 50-50 split between, driving customers to sign up for a membership versus sign up for a free trial, if you think both are performing pretty well, there's no harm, no foul in adding two calls to action to the banner area, which in this case are added as an overlay on top of this banner image. So let's go ahead and jump in to styling these. So if we hover over the first button option, we can see that it is our primary button, right? So hover, click, you've got the editor, then you can select between primary, secondary, or tertiary. Now, all three of these button options can be styled independently, meaning the primary button could have a no border, while the secondary button block, you can add a border. So if you want a little bit of contrast between these two, let's say, for example, you want this to be yellow and you want the second call to action to be a different color, we can do that within the editor. So let's go ahead and jump in and show you how to do that. Okay, so we are going to click the site styles. And from here, we're going to pull up our button block customization options. So for the primary, let's go ahead and change everything. So the text, when you click into this, you're able to set a specific font and style. Obviously, if you want it normal or italic, you can set that there. You can increase the weight, which is just the weight of the font itself. So if you want it to look a little more bold, which I always recommend for a CTA, just because the more front and center you are, just depending on your industry, obviously, if you want to be modest, that's fine too. But if you're really trying to drive customers to purchase a membership or join a free trial, you might want to change this font weight from 500 to something higher. So the higher you go in the font weight, the more big and bold it's going to display. So if we go from 500 to 900, we can see how that looks, right? Let's go ahead and land on 700. That's a good middle ground. You can set it as uppercase, lowercase, or none. And none is just going to retain whatever you wrote into the description of that button block. So let's go ahead and keep it on uppercase. You can also increase or decrease the letter spacing as well. And I'm going to walk you through the different shapes. Okay, so button blocks on Squarespace by default for this specific template have been set as square. And we can see what that looks like. If we want to keep the square, but we want to add just a slight tinge of a corner, we can click into the custom corners. By default, Squarespace sets them at 6.4. You can set whatever number you want here. So if you really want to zero in, you've got 20px rounded corners on every image block, every button block, essentially any media element within your site, and you want that cohesive design look and feel, then you can add 20 pixel custom corners to your button blocks to match all the other design aesthetic within your website. So that's really awesome. Okay, so we have fill options. We've got 6 different fill options. We've got the true square. We've got the custom rounded corners. We've got more of a circle or a pill. We've got this elliptical looking shape. We've got the text, and we've got sort of this flag option. Okay, so those are your fill options. And again, this is primary. You can also set these specific customizations for the secondary and the tertiary button blocks as well. So that's the 6 fill options. When we click into the no fill, this is kind of how it looks with the no fill. So when you hover over the button, it will actually display this background color, rounded, circle, so on and so forth. So it pretty much mirrors the options that you have here for your fill, only when you hover over, you can see them displayed more prominently. Now let's go ahead and stick to fill, and let's set it as a square. And I want to show you the next button block design feature that Squarespace has rolled out. It's called the outline, and this is just going to display an outline color around that button block. So let's set it as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's set it at 4px. So now we've got these custom outlines over our button block. And we can go into, let's click save to save our edits. We can go into the style editor and actually change the color that displays here on the background of the button block, as well as the color that displays as the outline. So when we click colors, we find our section background color is darkest 1. So that's what we're going to select. We hover over our elements anywhere within the section, and it will pull up the color options. So since these are both set as primary buttons, when we select them, we're going to see primary button background. If this were a secondary or a tertiary button, when we selected those, it would display here within the site styles as well. So we want the button background. Let's say we want to change it to something else within our palette. We want it green, and we want the color to be white. There it is. Really awesome options here, you guys. Again, Squarespace has opened up the doors to 3 different display options for your button blocks. Let's click save. Let's see how the secondary button option will look paired against the primary. So when we click edit, we can go in and see this again is our primary. This is also set as primary, but let's say we want to change that to secondary. Okay, awesome. Let's go back into the site styles and the colors, and let's play around a little bit with let's go back to the button option. So from our home page, we click the site styles, then we select the button option, then we hover over the secondary, and we choose that within the drop-down option. We can see that it is secondary. Let's say we want to match the font of the secondary, but we want to change the background color and the outline. Excuse me. Let's change this to secondary, and we are going to set the same font weight as the primary. And I'm just going to adjust this really quick because this is 1.1 rem and the other is 1. So I want them to be the same. 1 rem, great. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and put a 4px border outline, just like we did on the primary button, so that they sort of match. And let's see here. Square 1.67, 1.0, square 4px. Okay, so now let's go back into our colors, and let's say, for example, we want to change this one to a different color. Okay, so you guys can see how that displays, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and exit out. And boom, we've got a primary, join now, and a secondary button, free trial, that are two different colors. It's really awesome, a built-in feature. Typically, historically that would have taken custom code. That would have been a little bit of time and development work on the designer's end to create two different button styles. But with Squarespace, you just toggle between primary, secondary, and tertiary. And you've got three different independent customized button options that you can display on your page. So again, a recap: CTAs, or calls to action, in Squarespace parlance, are button blocks. Button blocks can be displayed in multiple different areas throughout your website. For this example, these are button blocks that are added to the banner area. And I wanted to differentiate as a fitness studio between my two primary CTAs, which are join now. So, sign up for a membership and or start a free trial. I want those buttons front and center, so I've added them both, but I wanted to have a little bit of differentiation between the two. So I changed one from primary to secondary, and now we've got this beautiful design aesthetic. Okay, everyone, thanks so much for taking the time to watch. If you have any questions, I can be reached at coyotemooncreative.com, Travis at coyotemooncreative.com, and thanks so much. Have a great day.